Look at that. We're here.
Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Leila and Pat. My lighting is a mess. We were off last week. We missed you guys. I can't see a dang thing. I need my readers. There we go. Hey, Pat.
Yeah, I just took my readers off, and I'm proud to say I'm still in the 1 magnification level. So
you got me beat by 10.
These eyes are fresh.
By 10. I've had old people eyes since I was 8.
Oof.
So yeah, it's rough.
I feel for you.
How are you? I'm so happy to see you. It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I started tweeting again.
What? How'd that go for you?
It reminded me of how much I sort of hate Twitter. I love Twitter, but I hate Twitter.
Yeah.
Like I miss getting into the weeds with people occasionally, like just really debating every shitty person that comes across with their comments. But it's also so futile. Like there's no point in arguing. Like I always said, I want to get to 20,000 followers so I could just say some shit and walk away.
Yeah.
You know, and I've reached that level, so that part is good. But it's also like sometimes it feels like you're not fighting your own fights. Yeah. So it's always
a high school. Sometimes it was nice to log off. I wish I could say I touched grass, but did not. It was 2 weeks ago, my sweet girl Sandy left us. That was awful. Our sweet dog. And I was trying to focus on the happy return of my older son from college, who came back last Wednesday. And because I'm anal, I was like, we really need to test him for COVID. Guess what? His fancy school, they don't test them every week. Why would you? With no, totally asymptomatic. But so now, and this is just to explain why you might see me like hurtling myself over a bed that's here, is we're all sleeping in different rooms. We're all wearing masks indoors. Have not slept next to my husband for a week. Can't really hug my sweet boy, whom I've been like just pining to see. So I'm drinking a lot. So I'm looking forward to a good, fun show. How about you, Pat? How was your week?
Well, I'll just go with drinking a lot. That's always solid.
That's always a safe bet.
I actually don't, I was talking to you about this earlier. Before COVID, I never ever drank at home. I only would go out and drink. And and then COVID hit, and it's like, well, what do I have going on? So I'm not trying to look good for anybody, because I'm a single guy, but I'm not dating during COVID. So I'm like, I'll just put on some weight and who cares? But it's too boring to not have a cocktail is my attitude. But if you have a problem drinking, you probably shouldn't be watching our show, first off. So
content, we're broad tent, and
content warning.
Yeah.
So
the hours from 5 on.
Yeah. So back to your question, because I'm active listening.
Yeah, tell me.
I had a great Thanksgiving. I had 2 with my same family, because my brother didn't go to the first one. And I didn't know that. So I had to go to the second one.
Okay.
And since my parents might be watching, I doubt that, seriously.
Hey, Mom and Dad.
But they're the best family ever. And it was so much fun and perfect and great and all that.
Oh my God, you're making me feel like a total asshole, because I like talked about my dead dog and then my asshole 18-year-old who brought COVID into our house.
Well,
we have a great family, Pat. I have a great family.
I put my dad down this weekend, so I'm just kidding. That's awful.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, moving on to the actual show, baby.
Let's welcome our guest. We're so excited to have Terence Cudney. There we go.
There he is.
There he is. We're slowly pushing the buttons.
Independent candidate in Massachusetts. Here's Terence. Welcome, Terence.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Cheers.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Cheers. Yeah, indeed.
Okay. You got to tell me. So what are you drinking?
This is Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. If my Italian pronunciation is really bad.
I like it. I have to ask. So normally I am a Pinot Noir drinker, and I like to aim for a 14.5% alcohol by volume. Gotta ask, what's your drink got there? Do you need your readers to be able to tell?
Okay, yeah, it's 13%.
So
I'm
like
right below.
Water.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Right, yeah, it's just water, yeah.
You got to
Grapey water.
No, that looks wonderful. Well, cheers. We're so happy to have you here.
Absolutely.
I first sort of started seeing you as an activist in the March for Medicare for All and joining a lot of the rallies, or a few of the rallies that have been happening. Can you tell us something about yourself? What prompted you to run for Senate? Who are you? What's your history?
Sure. Yeah. So as you already said, I'm running for state senate in Massachusetts. I'm on the North Shore, little city called Gloucester.
Oh yeah,
and
Gloucester. My city, isn't it?
Pardon?
The goal of bringing more people into the political process.
Oh my God!
You have some Bernie going on in the background.
Leila is always trying to sabotage our show. So she told me before the show. She told me before the show, Bernie's live competing with us. So she had to try to get people. If you're watching now, you could leave us and go watch Bernie.
No,
there you go.
I miss my old Bernie. Wait, okay. I want to go back to something more important. Gloucester's a dry city, isn't it?
I don't. I guess what do you mean by dry city?
Like, that you can't have. They don't sell alcohol. A blue town. Don't you have to go somewhere else to buy alcohol?
I think it used to be, but
Okay.
it's no longer. No,
Okay,
at least not as long as at least not as long as I've been here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're from Gloucester, and
so actually, I'm originally from Colorado. I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, the People's Republic of Boulder, Colorado, as some call it. But I moved out here for grad school initially.
Okay.
I did 2 years of graduate study in applied linguistics, and I met my partner and girlfriend Sarah in Cambridge, Somerville area, and
my parents met in Somerville.
Really?
So wait, sorry, but did you go to Harvard?
No, Boston University.
Okay, just because a lot of times it's like, oh, I went to school in Cambridge. I just wanted to, okay.
Yeah.
So applied linguistics, got it.
Yeah, so we ended up, long story short, we ended up moving up to Gloucester, and I'd always thought of myself as kind of a city boy. Like I've lived in, I want to say, like at least about 7 cities on 3 continents in the last couple of decades, I guess. And a lot of big cities: London, Amsterdam, New York, DC, and most recently Boston. And so I was like, all right, Sarah, we'll give this a shot, being back in your hometown. And I've absolutely fallen in love with it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what got you into politics, or have you always, you said applied linguistics, were you always interested in politics, or how did you come to this?
Yes. So my undergraduate degree is in international relations. So I've been interested in kind of foreign policy for a long stretch. But I actually thought when I graduated from undergrad that I was going to be a diplomat. But the economy, the universe had other plans, and so I ended up doing tech support over the phone for a little while.
Kind of diplomacy.
Yeah, a kind of diplomacy, if you will. Yeah. And basically I saved up some money, went to DC, was hoping to, get plugged into either the nonprofit scene or into, the diplomatic corps. Ended up interning for a senator for a little bit. Did not have a good time with that.
Can you tell us who it was, or no?
Senator Max Baucus, among the more conservative Democrats from a bygone era.
Yeah.
Isn't Bacchus the god of wine? I'm just
right. Yeah.
The dots back.
The Latin.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So I was there for must have been 2 months, maybe a little bit less, and couldn't stand it. So I left, and I was waiting tables on the side to make do. And actually ended up reconnecting with a friend from high school and coming up with an idea for a tech startup. We moved back to Colorado, back to Boulder. There's sort of I'd say a lively startup culture in the Boulder, Denver area. And there's a whole lot more to the story that we can get into if you want. So
what propelled you into politics right now?
Right. Right. So in the midst of being in kind of startup culture, I started kind of thinking like, is there a way that I can apply this sort of innovative way of thinking to my interest in politics and my interest in policy?
Right.
And, is there a way to kind of think of democracy as kind of like the operating system of our, society, and sort of take that as like forward as like a way to innovate in policy wise. And so I started a little sort of political advocacy project on Twitter called the Decent Federalism Project. And that was kind of how I got into politics writ large, I suppose, domestic politics, I should say. And so I did that for a little while, and was struggling to kind of make an impact, to feel like I was getting my voice out there. And it just so happened that I've always been an independent. I've never been registered with either party. And there was this, guy who'd been in office for state senate for 27 years in his current office, and I want to say a couple, 4 more years or so in the House. Just a career politician since graduating law school, I believe. And one of the only state senators that's a Republican in, one of the bluest states in the country. And, just saw an opportunity to sort of throw my hat into the ring, see if I could make a difference. I consider our district a very sort of independently minded district, probably with a populist kind of strain that I'm looking to tap into. And yeah, just kind of threw my hat in the ring. And by the way, I was waiting tables at the time, because I've been laid off from my third tech startup at that point. I basically was not loving being back in the restaurant industry in the midst of COVID, and saved up my stimulus checks, and saw fit to run. So
there were checks. Jesus
Precious
Christ, I need
few.
an accountant.
Precious
few.
So why do you suppose the Republican? I mean, what's the explanation, as someone living there now, for why he's managed to hold the office as a Republican for 27 years in a very Republican state? I mean, I know it's an independent district, but is he there? Do they vote him in to be sort of the balance on the Democrats in Massachusetts, or what is it?
That is my sense. I mean, keep in mind that and by the way, this there's just a movement on this today. But keep in mind, we also have a Republican governor in Massachusetts. Right. Charlie Baker is the most, arguably the most popular governor in the country. And so I think there's something to that piece, but he actually just announced today that he's not going to be seeking re-election, which opens up some really interesting politics or possibilities for our politics.
Right.
But so I'd say there's some of that, like the sort of fiscal responsibility kind of establishment that has leaked its way into Massachusetts politics, I'd say. So I think that my opponent, Bruce Tarr, represents that to a certain extent. But yeah, I'd say also what you were saying, Pat, a bit of a check on the kind of Democratic establishment in the state, for sure. And basically, as you get closer to kind of the New Hampshire border and the live free or die kind of cohort, you see sort of this migration of the folks that don't want to be tied into that kind of politics as you kind of get further out. And but like pardon?
Like the Romney Republican kind of, right?
Yeah.
Socially liberal, but fiscally conservative.
Ostensibly so. Yeah. So I saw just a unique opportunity in this district, and a sense that they've been doing this for they've been electing and re-electing this guy for such a long time, and he has such high name recognition that anyone else kind of comes onto the scene, they have a massive uphill battle. But I think there's a sense that they're ready for a change, and I think what's happened with Governor Baker is a good instance of that, where sort of the duopoly kind of caught up with him, where he was going to sort of face a primary challenge, where he might lose the primary. He was considering running as an independent, decided not to, as it turns out, and yeah, kind of got swallowed by the duopoly a bit.
Yeah, nice to see that happen.
Yeah,
swallowed by the duopoly. That's a porn title if I've ever heard one. Sorry, I had to.
fair,
lobbed it up there.
So I saw you at these Medicare for All marches. So obviously that's part of your platform, I'm assuming.
Yes,
right? Yeah,
absolutely.
And how is the response how has the response been in the district where you are?
Right. So actually, I wasn't able to attend the Medicare for All marches in July. I think it was. That actually was my my very last shift was that evening. My very last shift at the restaurant. So I was there in spirit, but I wasn't able to be there in person. So I got connected to kind of the March for Medicare for All through Laura Fielding with the Red Berets.
Yes, friend of the show.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And so I was interested in kind of regional politics and building regional coalitions to help get us over the finish line with Medicare for All, whether it's at the state level or at the federal level. And I got connected to Andre Stackhouse, who's affiliated with Whole Washington. We're actually working on a group together about building sort of state solidarity between state initiatives for single payer. We're kind of working on building that on the side. And yeah, long story short, I got invited to this Occupy Pfizer event that was hosted by the March for Medicare for All in New York. And because I'm interested in kind of that regional politics and, you know, the strongest single payer initiative on the East Coast is probably the New York Health Act. And so between that and, you know, what we're trying to do here in Massachusetts with MassCare, it seemed like a natural sort of pairing. And so I went down, had an opportunity to speak, and yeah, it was a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw actually in California, AB 1400. What is it, Pat? You're better at all this.
I think that's correct.
Yeah,
we'll just say that's correct because no one's going to fact check this.
Drink more and I'll be right. But just like
Sacramento, yeah, they pledged to vote for it or support it. But you know, we have, so that's the thing New York and California have in common is that we mustered all this support up, and both states managed to table the bill with Democrats in charge.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have plans, and that's why I support Whole Washington as well, is that they're pushing for a ballot initiative. And I think that win or lose, that increases the support for Medicare for All in the long run.
Absolutely. The fight on all fronts
entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because today I'm sure you all saw there was the blaming Susan Sarandon again for the you know, Supreme Court decision. And you know, I just always like to remind everybody, even though I know some of us have moved on from Bernie Sanders, he always will hold a dear place in my heart. But, you know, his Medicare for All would have encompassed abortion for everybody from whenever the person having, you know, carrying the baby or whatever. Now I'm going to get yelled at from every different side. But I mean, that is the way to go. And there is a part of me when I see these sort of rich, privileged liberals who are always so vocal about Roe v. Wade, which I am too. I believe in abortion on demand, no matter what, no qualifiers. That's where I am. But like Medicare for All would cover that. And we have the presidency, we have both houses of Congress. Like, why aren't we expanding the court? Why aren't we getting rid of the filibuster? Why aren't we codifying it? Like, what's happening?
And to see them now dredge up Susan Sarandon for 2016 when Hillary literally picked an anti-abortion VP, and so you're going to bring up Roe v. Wade now and pin it on Susan Sarandon. It's Groundhog Day, and I don't know how we get out of it, but I think we just don't engage with that bullshit.
Yeah,
it's just
too late for me today because I was just too angry. But yes, you're right. And also we have Biden, who had spent, you know, his career qualifying it, and why he's not entirely for, you know, pro-choice, and why it should go to the states, and which people should be allowed to have abortions. I mean, we're not there's other places to focus your anger if you happen to be a liberal on Twitter.
Yeah, the Hyde Amendment, all the Supreme Court justices that, RGB not retiring,
Yep.
Obama not appointing somebody. I mean, not even fighting to appoint someone. I mean,
There's
it falls on Democrats, and their inaction is going to cost them 2022 for sure, and it's going to cost them 2024 as well. I mean, it's almost cooked in right now. But
they're counting on it. How are you going to raise money off of scaring people about Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're pretty lucky here in Massachusetts. I don't know as much about the laws in California around abortion, but the fact is, things are probably not going to change all that much here in Massachusetts if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Of course, I tweeted about this earlier today. I'm concerned about the people to our north in New Hampshire that don't have nearly as much legal protection should Roe v. Wade go the way of the dinosaurs. And so I'm worried about that. There's a trickle down effect, with these sorts of things where, you start seeing restrictions, a couple states over, and then, perhaps the Republicans get more brazen, and, who knows what could happen.
No, you're right. And I mean, they've already been chipping away at it, right? Like if you're poor and you're not in a rural place, it's very difficult to get an abortion no matter what, right? Like that access has really remained only for wealthy urban places. So,
I think Mississippi has one abortion clinic, right? I mean, one literally for the state.
I'm going to trust that you're right on that.
Just trust everything I say. Joe Biden just died. Joe Biden is dead.
Fake news. That's now I got distance
that was fake news
from whatever's happening here.
Clip it and chip it.
So we have a lot to discuss. What do you think? Should we
I think we should do. We had one positive story we're gonna cheers to before we start our ridiculous little wheel thing, which I love. Okay, so it's hard to find good news out there, but to me, the people protesting in the streets, the activists, the union workers, people striking, that's where a lot of our energy should be. Support good candidates like Terence, of course, but put your efforts as well into unions and striking workers, because that's where our power lies in the future. So here's the story.
Yeah, this is great because, a year ago when Amazon was trying, or the union people were trying to pass a union at Amazon, there was so much underhanded involvement by the powers that be over there at Amazon, from putting a mailbox on a property that the labor board had specifically told them that they couldn't, changing the amount of time that the red light would be there, where like a lot of pro-union people were passing out flyers, and so they decreased the amount of time that people could be stopped at the light, from threatening people who, that's the only game in town, right? So like they were told, well, if you guys unionize, we're just leaving. So when there's no other employment, that there was a lot of scare tactics. But what ended up happening, what the rest of the country hears is, well, why didn't the workers, why did they vote against their own interests? Why didn't they vote for a union? Because all of this other stuff was sort of sublimated. So now it's come out, and I mean, a lot of us knew it anyway, but nationally now we're seeing that they have to hold the vote again, which is fantastic because Amazon acted illegally to try to prevent people from voting to unionize. So that's positive. Let's hope they vote for it though.
So I don't know when the vote is. I don't think they announced when the vote will be, but I think we really, the left, need to push we need to raise awareness for these kinds of things. And I think that's really important because the MSNBC isn't going to be reporting this story. CNN, and if they do, it'll be a quick blip, and there'll be somebody on they'll ask somebody their opinion on it, and it'll be somebody from, Amazon or some think tank that they won't won't explain the relationship that this person has to Amazon.
Right.
But that's how it works. So it's up to lefty media and Twitter folks and regular people to just spread the word about this stuff. And it does make a difference. And it reminds me, Amazon is similar to the DNC. So not the DNC, but the Democratic Party. So in local elections, they manipulate the rules. So they understand how the rules work better than progressive groups trying to challenge them. So these kind of things happens all the time where local Democrats miss an opportunity because they got out strategized by Democrats on the rules.
Right.
So I don't even know where I was going with that. I just wanted to bitch a little bit.
No, but you're right. And I mean, again, like, I feel like there was a big effort to blame the voters and be like, well, obviously the workers didn't want to unionize. That's why, they lost. I think it was like a 3-1. I'm going to get that wrong, but they lost by quite a big margin. But there were all these tactics that are illegal that were used against them, scare tactics, plus just sort of underhanded, sublimation of the vote. But then also what's really, I think, promising is that was a year ago. Since then, there are so many strikes happening nationally that I think that might galvanize people who might have been worried before. And there is more solidarity, I think, across the country with workers to feel like they're not doing this on their own. And I think a year ago, it felt more like an isolated event. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm hopeful. I feel like every time I do that, it's dashed.
That's all you can be, is hopeful, right? And yeah, I mean, for my part, one of my first public actions as a candidate was to go down to an Amazon warehouse in Salem, which is technically in the district to my south, and to just speak out in front of the warehouse about the terrible workplace conditions there, and to start to make the case that I'm trying to make for my campaign with economic democracy. And that's a term that not a lot of people know, in sort of, not a lot of laymen, I guess, to politics know. And a subset of that is workplace democracy, and a subset of that is unionization. And we have to make that case as much as we can to the people, because when they actually hear what it's about, that it's just like, oh, actually, it sounds like a good idea to maybe have more like democracy in our economy, like the way our economy functions. Right. Why haven't we been doing that? And if you start to make that case, then it's hard for people to ignore it. And I think that's part and parcel of this fight in Bessemer. So it's so good that they're going forward with that.
Yeah, it is. That's great.
Getting another shot.
I really think.
I was like, wait, you what? Say what?
What? I had a point, but you're speaking my language here because you're a linguist.
You're applied.
That's true.
Something there.
That's true.
But I really personally feel, and I think most people probably agree, that Medicare for All is the one equalizer beyond all of like, to me, that would be the first thing, because once you pass Medicare for All and healthcare isn't tied to employment, that frees up a lot of the bargaining power of unions, and just your freedom to go to a job that pays you well, because at least your family is going to have healthcare. I mean, how many people are stuck because their kids have healthcare through their job and they just can't afford to take the risk of something else? So anyway,
that feels like a direct
on that
at Mayor Pete, and healthcare for all who want it.
Ooh, right. Mayor Pete, don't get me started.
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll into hash it out. Our wheel thing.
So Terrence, we do this kind of silly thing that we think is fun, so bear with us, where we just kind of have a lot of the different hashtags from Twitter, like topical, subjects, and we spin the wheel and go for it. But I will warn you that there are some shots to be had in that wheel, so brace yourself.
Okay.
And they're entirely optional, and you can tap out here anytime you want from the entire show. No worries at all. I won't take it personally. It'll be Lila's fault if you leave.
It's always my fault. I'm used to
it. We're good.
If I'd have known, I would have gotten a fifth of something, but I'm gonna just have to take sips.
Yeah, take a
more than fair.
13%, Terrence. I think you can do it.
There we go.
All right. Look at that.
Look at that.
Love that.
Look at that.
Love that
So
graphic.
much fun.
The graphic
That's cool.
created by our own Pat Cody.
That's
Nice
that's
music
what,
too.
That's
Right?
what unemployment does right there.
Fun employment. Yeah.
Fun employment, exactly.
All right, where's our wheel, dude?
Holy shit, we need to share the wheel. Excuse
We
me.
need to share the wheel. We're
would
gonna
you-
fire that PA.
You should keep some banter going while I add the wheel. Oh,
Wait,
I'm quick.
find
Here
the
we go.
wheel. There you
Here we go.
There you go. All right.
All right. I guess I have to spin. I wish we could let guests.
A
spin
lot
this
of
wheel.
hats to wear today. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right.
Spin that wheel.
Will you look at that? Will you look?
Starting off right. There we
What
go.
are the chances?
Well, there's that.
Well, there's that. All right, here you go.
All right. So cheers, Terrence. So much.
Cheers.
I'm
Yes.
happy you're here and thank you for joining us and putting up with this part of the show, but you don't have to
Yes,
put
This is
Okay.
awesome. I love it.
Cheers, everybody. Oh my God, it never gets easier. Okay.
It doesn't, does it? Well, it actually does. After
Actually makes me a better mommy.
you're
There we go.
a happy mom is a good mom.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, I will take no credit for this. The name, the hashtag name, Pat. This is all you, baby.
You know what? I've been lonely. No, that had nothing to do with. So we were looking for a hashtag for I will never pronounce her name. Maxwell is
trial of the century, and yet it's almost like a blip. Nobody's talking about it on mainstream media.
Yeah, I don't know that much. I haven't really been following this story, to be honest with you guys. But you know, it's one of those things where, you know, what do they say? Daylight is the best disinfectant, right, for these sorts of things.
Yep.
So the more accountability, the more out in the open, the better.
And
Yeah.
how this is such a sensational story, and for
Because
this not
there's
to be covered right now is just absolutely insane. I mean, look at this. This is
I'm just gonna start saying Woody Allen, Donald Trump, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton. Who's that of it? Prince Andrew. Oh, Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Bill Clinton again. Elon Musk. Steve Pinker. Dershowitz. This is for anybody who doesn't have readers on. I mean, oh, Bill Gates, the hero philanthropist. Bill Gates, bottom right there. All of these people cavorting with a known convicted pedophile, because all of these pictures are after he was already convicted of raping children and procuring young girls and boys. We somehow missed out on what's his name? Dang it.
Joe Biden.
Stephen, no.
Dang it. No.
You know.
I'm spreading fake news. That's my new role here is to spread fake news on the show.
House of Cards.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Why am I saying
Spacey?
Kevin Spacey. Thank you.
I had no idea Spacey was involved in this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many others. The list of people, Naomi Campbell, like this is so repellent. And somehow we're just going to pretend that all these heads of state and important people were not part of a pedophile rape ring.
Yeah. This kind of problem, it's so proximal to power. Like it's just if you're powerful, then you're that much more likely to be, you know, tied into this kind of gross terribleness.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. So it's an indicator that we need to hold our, like as I was saying before, hold our powerful to account more.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, in 2016, I remember, actually it was 2015. It was when Hillary announced her run, and then there was Trump, and there was I think it was Vanity Fair article that said it was the pedophile who could bring down two candidates. And that was easily searchable at the beginning. Within a few months, it was scrubbed from Google searches. You could not find that article anymore because they like negated the ability to call out disgusting Trump for his cavorting with Epstein and also all of his other accusations, because there was Bill Clinton, right? And I mean, it is, yeah, you're right. If we don't hold people accountable, then there's just never any place to go with this. You cannot call out disgusting behavior. And, you know, it's amazing to see also on Twitter today. It's like all the people who are just showing pictures of Donald Trump and Melania with Ghislaine and Epstein, and then all the people on the right who are only showing pictures of Clinton. And it's like, rape is bad. I mean, I don't know like why it has to be if a Dem does it or a Republican does it.
Yeah, but Terence, I think you nailed it. So if you look at Bill Gates, I don't see Bill Gates doing any kinky weird shit on some island. So for him, it's just some proximity to power. It's like he had to be associated with him because of what it could benefit him.
Fake news. We don't know if he wasn't with any of those girls.
Yeah. I'm not going to say he wasn't, but let's take his version of the story correct, and it's still the grossest thing ever that all these people have to accept these, these, I don't know what you want to call them, but
allow these people into their orbits because of the influence of power. Yeah,
those are the words I wanted.
Well, and by the way, like any one of these people could have used the power that they had to call out the rest of them, right?
Thank you. Yes. Where are those people who have integrity, an ounce of integrity? Because, you know, I mean, we've all said it so many times, but like the only religion in this country is money. And they all pray to the same green God. And that is all they care about. There is no ideology separate from how to increase your wealth and power. And that is,
to me, it's the same lesson from Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood didn't speak up and everybody knew it. But it's the same thing for politicians and people of wealth, because they've all known this stuff for decades.
Yeah. Gross.
All right, let's spin the wheel before I get too,
I know.
I don't know, angry or just.
I don't know, but
yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Speaking of not having an ideology,
our favorite guy.
Yeah, it's our favorite guy. All right, so we're gonna are you gonna play it? You're gonna play the clip of our Dr. Fauci, national treasure. Dr.
Yeah,
Fauci.
So first let's see where we're at with the sequencing.
Oh, I don't know. I can't read it. But this is about, okay, so this is what our country has done for sequencing this virus. We are, you can't even see it. That's crazy. But down there somewhere around what, 20th?
25th or so.
Yeah. So, you know, they blamed South Africa right away and stopped the travel. They had a travel ban, right, for like 4 or 5 different African countries, only because they happened to sequence, like, to find it first, this virus in South Africa. But wait, I feel like we have to
No, we're gonna show the video, but the point of that is we're collectively as we're trying to not collect data on COVID in a lot of ways. Like our government's decided it's better if we just open up for the pure capitalistic reasons than actually collect data. I mean, it goes into something we're going to cover later, but without the data, you can't be doing that. You're doing an okay job, at least, because there's no data to prove you're doing terribly. But here's Fauci.
The fact that from the beginning we just said we weren't going to test people who have been vaccinated. It's like, how do you collect data if you're not testing people regularly, even if they're vaccinated? We wouldn't. Yeah.
It's, I believe, science, but let's not have that much science. So here's Fauci.
Anybody who's looking at this carefully realizes that there's a distinct anti-science flavor to this. So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there, there's a face, there's a voice you can recognize, you see him on television. So it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science. That's dangerous. To me, that's more dangerous than the slings and the arrows that get thrown at me. I'm not going to be around here forever, but science is going to be here forever. And if you damage science, you are doing something very detrimental to society long after I leave. And that's what I worry about.
So if you criticize Fauci, you're anti-science.
I mean, I have to say at the outset, I was probably one of those people that early on, because it was, during the administration of Donald Trump, like I was grasping for anyone that I could trust. Right. And so I would say I was probably one of those people early on that was like, okay, this guy, Tony Fauci is, he cares about science where this president doesn't appear to. And so, oh my gosh, he's somebody. I mean, it's the same way that we lionize, Andrew Cuomo and his handling of the coronavirus when it turned out he wasn't doing much good for the people either, at least not for elderly people in his state. Yeah. But I mean, to say like he represents science, and if you criticize science, you're criticizing him. Like he sits at the intersection of politics and science, that being the two operative words there. And so for him to say that he represents science is just, it totally misses the point.
I mean, it's disallowed. Like science is, if you can't question it, it's not science, actually. Like, science should be defensible, right? But also, yeah, exactly. Like just to shut down that debate. And by the way, he likes to talk about himself as being the true voice in the Trump administration. Let's even leave aside the fact that he told people not to wear masks in March of 2020. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people were affected by that lie. I mean, that was a lie, and he's admitted to it. And even if it was because he thought he was doing something to save the masks, that's not his position, right? His position is to tell the truth. But if he wasn't able to get across his points of view and the science in the Trump administration, he should have resigned and spoken the truth, or like leveraged his power in the administration more, which he clearly didn't have. So like to just hang out there while the misinformation was being spread by Trump, I don't understand how he absolves himself of responsibility there.
And masks, I mean, masks have been one of the most politicized parts of this whole pandemic throughout. And, he's put us on the wrong foot by saying initially, oh, you don't worry about the masks, when that obviously wasn't really the case. And he just had to wait until, oh, well, actually, it's really, really bad now. So now you should wear masks because it's untenable for you to not wear masks. But then I think, when Biden lifted the mask mandate in, what was that? Mid last year. Oh, hi, Lisa. How's it going? I think it was mid last year. My argument would be, and this might get me canceled by some, is that he did it too early. We didn't have enough of a handle on the pandemic at that point. Sure, the cases were going down, but talk about, the politicization of science. He was looking for an opportunity to have a win, and the cases were declining. Yeah. So let's just throw caution to the wind and get rid of masks. And then obviously Delta came along, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he did that. He had his mission accomplished moment for COVID. And, unfortunately, what's going to happen, well, I don't know about unfortunately, but the reality is he's going to be judged in 2024 if he's on the ballot. And Democrats, no matter who's on the ballot, are going to be judged on their COVID response, because that's what got Biden elected, essentially. Yep. His COVID response, people were on the left were correct in saying that Trump is not helping us with COVID, and that scared the hell out of people enough to get him elected. So what's going to change under Biden? We've had more COVID deaths already. He gets all this credit for ramping up the vaccination rates, but it was the same exact trajectory that Trump was on. It was slow. We don't have masks. We don't have a national mask mandate. I mean, it's just Democrats are so doomed. It's ridiculous at this point to me. If the Republicans run anyone who beats Trump, who's a moderate, they're going to win easily.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll even win with Trump, honestly.
Yeah, but they're going to win with Trump regardless. But I mean,
but in the meantime, like hundreds of thousands of people are just being consigned to death. We opened up the schools. We opened up, like, we're not even talking about a lockdown anymore. That's over. Why don't we have everybody at their homes free rapid testing? They do that in other countries. You can't even find tests in most pharmacies in this country.
And they're pretty expensive in the places that you can find them too.
Yeah. I mean, why didn't we ramp that up? Like, okay, fine. Trump's a disaster. Of course he is. We all know that. But I need better than just like a slight bit above Trump because we don't have mean tweets. Like, where are the masks to every home? Why aren't we testing everybody? Why don't we have Medicare for all? Which I just have to keep saying, like, a third of the deaths of COVID are blamed on our not having universal health care in this country. So in the middle of a global pandemic, for Biden not to enact Medicare for all, which he could have done under, emergency authorization if he cared, which is what Bernie would have done. So let's just know that, like, there's another path we could have taken. That is disgusting. And then to see, and then, by the way, to blame like a pandemic of the unvaccinated when we are not using all of the bully pulpit of the US and the most powerful person in the world to shame Moderna, whose vaccination we all paid for, to release the patent and vaccinate the rest of the world. We're never going to be rid of this. So you can make fun of like MAGA people all you want who won't get vaccinated, but until we vaccinate the global South, Africa, and the rest of the world, we're going to keep doing this.
Yeah, we've created a factory for variants, basically, with the level of protection we have in this country, and not releasing the patents to other countries, and not provide. I mean, so we have provided, in fairness, more vaccines to other countries than any other country, but we still control the vaccine patents. Yeah. And that part of it is critical to actually beating this stuff. Which reminds me, we've got what's the new virus?
It's called the Omicron. The Omicron variant, the face the Omicron variant.
So that's really reassuring that he's in charge of this right now.
Let's talk about making it sound like a transformer.
Oh my God. I mean,
the Omegacron.
I really feel reassured. Okay, yeah.
That justifies a shot.
Yeah, baby.
What were the chances, Pat?
I had to say that, but the chances are high.
There you go.
Did you say L'Chaim?
L'Chaim?
I said ask and you shall receive.
Oh, ask you. Okay, yeah. It's the third night of Passover, people. Wait, Sunday, Monday.
Is it?
Fourth night of Passover. The gifts have gotten significantly less impressive as we've gone. Cheers.
Passover.
Cheers.
L'Chaim?
L'Chaim, yeah.
L'Chaim. Happy Passover.
Decepticon. We should have gone with that. Decepticon. I like that.
Oh man.
All right, let's get an actual topic, because I don't think shot is a topic. Son of a bitch.
This is where everything goes off the rails.
Yeah, if you think I'm incoherent now, give me a minute.
I'm really glad at this point I didn't know that we would be. There was a shot opportunity, because just sipping wine. I'm on my second glass now, but
second glass. What?
This is where we really. Sorry, Leila. We need to become grifters, because the after show is going to make us money.
The after show is where
the after show. Patreon. Subscribe for the after show.
It's me passing out on the couch. All right, I want to see it, Pat, so I know you're not lying, cheating.
Sure. That was an insult, and I appreciate it.
You have a history of cheating, Pat?
No, he cheated me one time, and I thought he had already had it. And
yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. All right. I'm going to start removing shots. Remove shot. Remove that option. That option should not.
I'm
I
finally
removed
happy.
one.
I'm happy.
One shot is gone.
First time in a week. What?
Oh.
Ugh.
This is where the mommy juices come in.
Is this mommy juice? Am I drinking my? Never. I don't know what that means. But let's not go there. Cheers.
Cheers. Wait.
Cheers.
Oh,
Oh,
that
God.
was that was the roughest of them all. All right. Please don't be shy. All right. I'm removing it. I'm about to remove all instances because there should be no more shots.
We have 9 minutes left. What's happening? Fast forward. Let's go. Oh my God. I can barely see.
Oh, we hit fast. I thought that landed on G spot still there. I still haven't found the G spot. There's a joke. There has to be a joke there.
Gotta get some of these.
Somebody has to say something.
Oh my God.
I'm never gonna find the G spot, so that's gonna stay up there. Next week it'll be on there too. All right. So
I got it.
fast forward. We have actual stuff on
gotta
fast
do
forward. Let's
something.
go.
Are
Fast
you
forward.
putting something on there?
So yeah, this week we've had
A couple progressive allies.
some super progressive folks have been very progressive. Let's start with Mr. Yang.
To make it really specific, if people on the right say the Republican Party is too centrist, I'm an extreme white supremacist or something like that. But I think we need to get, we need single transferable vote or whatever and campaign. You still welcome that because you're on the same page on that one issue.
Yeah, if they're going to help us transition to a more effective democracy, I don't need to know what their stance is on things that I disagree with. People have a sense of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
But right now, I believe that there is an existential threat to the country as a result of the greatest design flaw in the history of the world. That is, and if you will help us resolve that design flaw, then we can have a discussion about anything else under the sun. At a time when the democracy actually will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Terrence. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, feel free to respond. But if you're looking for Yang voters, don't say anything, and I'll just take this one because I'll just jump in. So he did apologize and walk that statement back the next day, which I appreciate. My thing with Yang is his instinct is always to what do the voters want. People will say the opposite. They'll say, no, his instinct is always like just speaking his mind, and it's refreshing. And then he recalculates or something. But his instinct is appealing to a lot of his base, which actually is, he started as a 4chan joke, essentially. I mean, I don't want to get into too much Yang stuff, but I just did. So there we go.
Yeah, the thing about, so he did, like you said, he did roll it back, I believe, as I understand it. But the thing about Yang is I want to give him credit where credit is due. That he did bring UBI into the conversation.
Amen.
That's what kind of greased the wheels at least a little bit. Maybe this is giving him too much credit, but at least greased the wheels a little bit for those stimulus checks. That this idea that we can just provide income to people without any strings attached. So that's great. And his advocacy for ranked choice voting is great. In my platform, we have the idea is that I believe we should move to a top 2 ranked choice primary system for electing public officials, because ranked choice primary, kind of takes a lot of the duopolistic bias out of voting. So that's all good. But I don't know. Yang, I don't want to be too hard on him because he's done these good things, but the Ford Party, what he's going for with it, I'll just take one particular example. He talks about open primaries. There are actually 15 states already that have open primaries. And the way open primaries work is you just pick the ballot, but you're only picking, one of 2 ballots in the duopoly anyway. You're either picking the Republican ballot or the Democratic ballot. So you actually haven't resolved the problem there. Now, what I think he's talking about is top two, but the fact that he doesn't even get the term right is just like one instance of the problem that suggests that he doesn't understand the underlying issues that he appears to be trying to solve. And obviously, I think the Forward Party is sort of a Trojan horse for more centrism in our system when we are. I personally, I imagine you guys have had our fill of it.
Yeah.
So.
Here. I agree.
I covered all.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, and I will stop before I say more Yang things.
This was another instance this week. So, Pat and I all week long will like text each other, what's trending, what should we talk about? And there was this sort of like AstroTurf, corporate Democrat hashtag that was generated, I think, completely inorganically. Like, didn't Biden, about all the great things that Biden did, like, didn't Biden help get, more children off of poverty, which, every time they list a percentage or a number, I'm like, well, if it's in the ability of politics to get kids off poverty, which clearly it is because they're bragging about it, why are we aiming so low at 24% or 50%, right? But then what ended up happening is they were trying to sort of generate this sort of like, support for a failing, low numbers failing presidency. A lot of people came back in with, well, didn't Biden promise such and such and not deliver?
So didn't Biden is trending. So this is Aaron Flower Power. I don't know. Didn't Biden promise 2,000 stimulus checks immediately? Yeah, he did. Didn't Biden promise to cancel student loan debts? Well, he did. They're bragging recently about like 0.001% being canceled or something. Yeah. Didn't Biden promise a $15 minimum wage? Well, they didn't include it in any Democratic only bills they can pass, which is
parliamentarian though.
Yeah.
But the parliamentarian.
Yeah. Didn't Biden say he would do better than Trump in handling the coronavirus? Guess he lied. So along with the coronavirus, let's look at this. So then this goes back to Fauci, but when Trump was in power, the stories, and this is the narrative being pushed out, is that Biden is handling this coronavirus so well. But under Trump, we need to live with it was like the worst message ever. It was like disgusting. Yeah. Anti-science. How can we live with this? And then now we're at 2 years later, Fauci saying we're going to have to start living with it. And so the follow-up tweet is a few things that Biden could do. Use his power to give Medicare to all impacted. A third of the deaths are due to lack of health care. Waive all vaccine patents. Stop blocking access to materials. Free at-home tests. Give us the $100,000 strong public health corps. Wait, I can't even read that. I need my readers. Things he promised. He can. There's so much he can do via executive order. So when you see him not do the things he ran his campaign on, and he has the clear executive power to do it. Yeah. It's why Democrats are doomed to fail.
And use his bully pulpit to do it. More people now, they're going to keep blaming Trump for COVID and the MAGA people who won't get vaccinated. And he absolutely deserves an enormous amount of blame. Trump is horrific, but there's got to be something better than what's happening right now, where we're just consigning hundreds of thousands of more people to death. Like, what is the solution? Because it's not, we are never going to, and, we're never going to just vaccinate our way out of this. They knew that when Trump was president. Andy Slavitt, who was under the Obama administration and then under Biden, when Trump was president, he was very, open about the fact that we cannot just vaccinate ourselves out of this. And by the way, as disgusting as Trump was, he did his Operation Warp Speed to develop the vaccinations. He was the one who decreed that they were going to be free. So we were all very open about criticizing the vaccine only approach to COVID back then. And I think to deny that that is an insufficient response is, again, what's going to lead people to not trust anybody actually in power anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right that the vaccine only approach was never going to work, will not work. And I think like generally our implementation of vaccination should depend kind of regionally and like culturally and the way people are willing to take it. But the fact is, yeah, that you need kind of an all of the above approach. You need people who do the vaccines. You need people who do the boosters on top of the vaccines. You need masking. You need testing. You need natural, to talk more about natural immunity. We don't talk enough about that. It does, as I understand it, it does expire pretty quickly. I think the last thing I read was that it's 90 days that you have of natural immunity before it's kind of gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to kind of implement, all of these to get us
Ventilation.
where we need to be.
I mean, this is an airborne disease or virus, right? So like, why did we just strip out of the Build Back Better, I think $100 million that was supposed to go towards updating schools and their infrastructure inside the schools, right? How are you going to send kids to school where they have lead in the pipes and they don't have ventilation?
Right. And I know that it's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, I know that, the risk to children is generally much lower. And, we need to be careful with when we talk about that and very nuanced in our conversation about that, because we don't have enough data on like things like long COVID and,
Right.
For kids and what it has to do with their development. Like this is science we don't know yet, but we certainly haven't talked enough about, how we protect teachers when they're when you have all the kids there
And community spread, right? Like even if a kid has a mild case,
brings it home to the parents.
Yeah. And each new variant, by the way, keeps affecting younger and younger groups of people. Each new variant has gone. Yeah.
I just want to say, look at all the missed opportunities for Biden, though. Like to do anything with masks, to do like you could frame this whole thing as like, okay, whether you want to get vaccinated or not, that's a personal right, but certain jobs require it. But here are masks for people. I am delivering you masks. Please wear them because they help.
Yeah.
Please wear them. This is not invading your personal space. So you can't make that like it's equivalent to asking a woman to, get an abortion or something, like it's not that. It's a mask. It's just wear a fucking mask. Here's a mask. Wear a fucking mask.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many more, like there's so much, they're so lacking for creativity and just like thoughtfulness about like all the things that they possibly could do. And I hate to say it, but Biden just seems like he's asleep at the wheel, like on this kind of stuff.
I think so, and especially knowing that he probably only won because of COVID, to have him be such a lackluster voice in control. I mean, we all knew, obviously, during the primaries that he was deteriorating mentally, but like to have nobody in his administration step up and be that voice is really an abdication.
Yeah. I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we were kind of sold in part on the idea of Ron Klain and what he was going to be able to do because he has helped manage, disease spread in the past and, has a real voice for it. I haven't seen Ron Klain out there, making the case for any innovations to policy that might help us slow this. Like, I mean, just by the way, like I think we're right around 800,000 deaths now for COVID. Like
I think,
we just, and that kind of came and went, without any sort of taking note of, wow, what a grim milestone. And I remember when we passed like literally like 1 in 500 people have died from COVID. Like that was a while ago. I don't remember hearing, much discussion of that. Like,
well, the difference, right, is that under Trump, and I agreed with this, there was a death ticker because it's horrifying. When 3,000 people died on 9/11, we didn't stop talking about that. We went to fake wars because of that. And then now, I mean, there have been times in the last month that we were at almost 2,000 a day, and they don't talk about that. It's go back to work, economy's opening up, pandemic of the unvaccinated, supply chain problems and inflation.
Yeah, they're very eager for that narrative to stick, that they have nothing they can do right now. That's the whole game, is we really can't do much. And if you press them too much on doing something in particular, it's like, well, if we do that, I agree with you, but if we do that, then we won't win elections in the future, because it's not going to work well on the right if we do that. Like that matters somehow. Which it doesn't. Yeah. You should win by appealing to your base. I mean, independents and your base, but your base is not enthused right now. Joe Biden ran, like, I wish we landed on the Joe Biden thing, because we have a lot on Joe Biden.
I know.
Should we just force that?
We got one. Yeah, we got one more, because then everybody's got to,
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. I mean, all right. Let's just skip this. Let's just force skip, because to hell with that. I mean, I honestly, like, I feel like we have to talk about Biden. And
all right, go to it. What do you want to talk about?
Which one's the one? Which one's the hashtag?
I know. I'm not sure which is the segment.
It's I don't know. No, it's not Didn't Biden. It's Dream Ticket, because that's that's what we're at right now.
Yes, let's go.
This is about all of them, but
Biden's
so there's
they know it.
They know how bad they're hurting right now in the Democratic Party. They know that Biden is unpopular, Kamala is unpopular, Pete is unpopular, but here we still have all the spin about it. So what do we? I don't know. Here we go.
All right.
Biden's under 40%. Kamala's at 28%. Like, neither of those win elections. I mean, obviously, GOP is kicking our ass left and right.
And in mock trials, Trump would beat Biden right now. They know that. And instead of doing a single policy, enacting or fighting for a single policy that is like widely popular across the board, they're just going to keep trying to like jerry rig some dream ticket that checks off certain boxes of identity politics without any, like, no ideology. What policy do you stand for?
Yeah, and so this one really, like, Kamala and Pete could agree to run together if Biden doesn't run. So they're pushing. I mean, we've all talked about Kamala and Pete being the ticket, but they're actually pushing it. This is the thing they're hoping to happen. Meanwhile, they're also floating at the same exact time as they're pushing this thing. They're floating that Biden is going to look to replace Kamala so he can run again. So he can run with so it's like Kamala is dragging him down. Like, Kamala Harris has no impact on his presidency whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to change that.
Yeah. Where to begin with this? I mean, it all kind of, for me, it kind of all ties, like, all the topics that we talked together. Like, there's a bit of a through line there. You're talking about Fauci, you're talking about the Ghislaine and Epstein trial, and talking about, didn't Biden do this? Didn't Biden do that? And you're talking about now, how do we replace Biden, or how do we? There's a couple through lines there. But I guess, I don't know, with regard to the Buttigieg Harris thing. I mean, obviously Harris is a very low approval rating. I'll admit that I was among those people that wanted to find a way to, like, approve of Kamala Harris. And I think the time where I literally just couldn't have anything more to do with her was when she was at the border saying, "Don't come." That really just, like, rubbed me the wrong way. The idea.
It took you a while, Terrence, but I'm glad you caught up with us.
Well, I mean, it's the final straw in a series of, just.
But you have to. So they put her there to be unpopular because they didn't want. They knew she was going to be unpopular. I think they knew how they saw the primaries. They had to know. So Biden picks her, puts her on. no one you're going to try to get into the office is going to be handling the border crisis, because there's no winning coming out of the border crisis. That's why Pete's on transportation, because they have this infrastructure bill and they can say, oh, Pete did all this, you know, like
he's in charge of more money than any transportation secretary ever has been. Like,
but just like in the primaries, we were stuck with Democrats, normie Democrats were stuck with Biden. We're going to be stuck with Pete, or they might be stuck with Kamala. You know, none of this is the plan. They're just terrible at all of this.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, with the primaries in 2020, you know, what they did with the app, the shadow app, that, you know.
I mean, it's so disgusting and nefarious. It's like what they did was completely dishonest, and they cheated again. And if you talk about it, you're like, oh, get over it. But like that, you know, he Guaido'd himself into, you know, winning Iowa, right?
Have you heard her? Hey, wait. Since we have Terence, tell me how her French is.
With us in government, we campaign with the plan. Uppercase T, uppercase P, the plan. And then the environment is such that we're expected to defend the plan. Even when the first time we roll it out, there may be some glitches and it's time to reevaluate and then do it again.
What? I haven't seen that one. What is she talking about? What is she even discussing?
She was in France, and she was talking with a French accent about the plan to deal with COVID.
Oh,
okay. She was speaking with like a kind of fake French accent. I mean, she is just not the plan. Yeah,
like the plane. Oh, so obviously she's terrible. We don't need to talk about that anymore. But
so that's funny. French is actually my second language. I studied abroad in Cameroon, West Africa, where they speak French. My French is a little bit lapsed. I didn't even catch on to the fact that she was trying to do a French accent there until you described it to me.
Your French must be rusty if you couldn't catch that.
That's right. So in fairness, I have some other cringe.
Okay.
We must work together to see where we are, where we are headed, where we are going, and our vision for where we should be, but also see it as a moment, yes, to together address the challenges and to work on the opportunities.
Sorry.
She's just the word
rhetoric.
Accent.
It's straight up Buttigieg rhetoric with just awful. Anyway, it's all obvious.
That's what they're going to stick us with. So we need more independents who have strong ideologies on the policies they're fighting for. Because I think, you know, one of the themes for me always is if you can ally yourself with, you know, Bloomberg or John Kasich or Harvey Weinstein or Epstein, like if you have no moral center and nothing truly that you're fighting for, it's very easy to blip around to whoever's like checking some boxes, but that's not going to do it. I think people are starting to see that unfortunately Democrats have become the party of the 1% right now. I mean, I think that's how they're viewed, you know, because they're not fighting for the policies that are the working class and the widely popular policies. So we need more. We need more people listening to
100%. So I just want to say, Terence, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you accepting our.
We're cutting ourselves off right now.
Discretions.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for doing this wheel. We're kind of testing it, but we're sort of having fun with it. So thank you for participating in it.
Thank you for tolerating Leila, is what I want to say. But, am I online? I thought we were off broadcast, but no.
This has been an absolute thrill, you guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, you know, to what you were saying, I mean, if there is any through line in all the stories that we're talking about, it's the degree to which, you know, power can, you know, be sort of shoved down our throats on any particular issue, and we need to build power outside of the two-party system. And you know, I'm open to working with people within the duopoly. Like I'm open to working with anybody, but you know, yeah, we need to build power that isn't you know, so reliant on this system. And thanks for getting me a little liquored up on this Wednesday.
Wait, and Terrence, just tell people where they can find you.
Sure. So right there, Cudney, the number 4 MA is where I'm at on Twitter. My website is the same thing with .com at the end. You can also donate to my campaign if you're so interested. I'm realizing at this point that I have to start pushing to get people to donate if I'm going to get my name out to as many people as possible. So it's DonorBox /Cudney 4MA with the number 4 like it is on there. Thank you so much for having me, guys. This was an absolute trip. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Just keep punching up. Cheers.
That's a good catchy outro.
Keep punching up. I love that.
Punch up.
Keep punching up, motherfuckers. So I had to add the motherfuckers just to ruin the whole segment. Cheers.
Cheers. Keep punching up.